This is the Lyndsay Stafford Show.
Welcome back to the Lyndsay Stafford Show. We are deep in our episodes featuring failures in business. And this might be a failure right now. No, thanks for listening. We are so excited to be here today. We have been talking all day about failing in business and failing forward. And this episode is going to be a great one. I have my friend John here. John, I don't even know how to introduce you.
Business failure. No. I'm John Woerner.
I know your name, but you have your hands in so many things that it is hard to introduce. So, I do these episodes and sometimes I'm meeting people for the first time in an episode, and sometimes I've had a relationship with them, and sometimes they work in the building that I record my podcast in, so I see them for hours at a time each month, and that's the category that John falls in. So you tell us, how do you want listeners to know you?
To know
John?
me, I am a father. I'm a husband. I am a small business owner.
Yeah.
I am business partners with the man who runs your podcast for you, Jim McCarthy.
Best podcast producer ever.
Ever. At least I believe so.
I think so too. I don't know what else to compare him to, but I think yes.
Yes. I actually listen to his podcast, which is a huge step in the right direction.
Yeah, that's good.
Because a lot of people, I don't listen to a lot of people's podcasts. Let's use proper terms.
Do you listen to mine?
I have listened to 3 of your episodes.
Oh, that's good.
Just to make sure I was ready for how this would go.
Yeah.
And I'm sure today is nothing like any of those 3.
That's because you're in the equation. It's going to be nothing like that, John.
Yes. But I guess my bigger sense is I am a business strategist by training, by nature. It's what I do in my sleep. Yeah. Starting at 6 years old, I started playing lemonade stand on an old PC. Because at 6 years old, I knew I really wanted to understand how business functions, supply and demand ratios. At that point,
what is lemonade stand?
What is lemonade stand?
I mean, you went and had one as a kid?
No, there's a computer game that came out in the 80s. I'm aging myself.
Well, how old are you?
I'm 42.
We're the same age. How did I not know this?
Well, I
only played Donkey Kong and Tetris.
Yeah, see, those are arcade games.
Oh, okay.
Mine was a business simulator. Basically, you start off with
How did you find that?
I don't know. I just found it and I fell in love with it. I played it for years, making whole lemonade empires.
That's amazing. It sounds like I would have loved that game.
It was great. And so as a result, I started practicing business decision-making, understanding supply and demand, understanding resource acquisition, interpretation of demand from a consumer perspective at a very young age. And every game I've ever gotten really into since then, in my teenage years and everything else, I wasn't in the shoot 'em games. I played Donkey Kong. I can destroy someone at Mario Kart.
I think I could go in right now. If you put a Nintendo, it'd have to be the same game.
Yeah.
I could probably find the secret places in Donkey Kong.
Really?
In some of them, yes. I think I probably could. You know those weird muscle memories that you're like, how do I still know this?
Yes.
I know my grandmother's landline number.
Wow.
It doesn't exist anymore, but I could repeat it. It's like one of the very few phone numbers that she has a different landline now. She doesn't live at that, on her own anymore.
Right.
But I still know that. Why? Why is that taking space in my brain? Leave.
I understand those things. I have those memories too. But for me, her landline number is running businesses.
Yeah.
So for me, my great desire in life is to do that. So I spent several years of my life, just a little history because you asked, working for a Fortune 5 company, getting lots of certifications and things like that as a middle level manager whose job was going into sections of the business, evaluating their data sets, their results, their turnover, their leadership recourses and actions, and then developing a plan to fix the numbers with cultural development. And I did that for a long time until I got to the point. This would have been 2014, that one of their leaders who I'd been working with for a long time, I was challenging him to take a major step in his business, not a little tweak, but you need to rethink your whole structure at this level. And he said, well, John, how many companies have you owned? I said, none, but what I know works, a lot of ego without a lot of merit. And for me, he challenged me. He's like, look, until you've owned a company and made the level of change that you're asking me to do, I can't respect your counsel. all these other things you've had me do have worked out real well for us, but they're all tweaks. So none of them are wholesale changes.
What were you saying to change? Like, what was how drastic was it?
So they were working on a 7-level leadership structure, from CEO to like team manager with 7 levels. Okay. And I wanted them to drop it to 3 levels. I wanted them to eliminate a lot of the middle management positions. And I really wanted them to think about life as a flat structure with more breadth. Mm-hmm. So there's more places where people can move in and out of positions and not have to get promoted. Yeah. And there wasn't such a gap between the CEO and the workforce. Yeah. I wanted him to have much more direct interaction with the 2nd-level managers who had direct interaction with the 1st-level managers. And that would expand his breadth from 3 people that reported to him to about 25 that reported to him. Yeah. And that's a big shift.
That's a huge shift.
It's a huge shift. And I get the perspective of him, like, that rewrites everything. Yeah. All of these, like, 5th-level managers either become a 1st or 2nd-level manager, and that's going to make them really angry. I'm like, it doesn't have to change their compensation. It just has to change the reporting structure, because right now you're getting lost in the weeds of communication. Trying to get something from you to the teams is taking forever, months. Yeah. Instead of what could be a week. Totally. And so I was really pushing on him for this shift, but his response to me was, until you own a company, I can't listen to you. And so I took that to heart. It really, really challenged me. I thought about that for months. Every time I'd walk into a new location with a new plan, it was, can you hear what I have to say? Because I've never done it. So in 2016, I opted to leave that company and start working in my own businesses to test all the theories I developed from Lemonade Stand to a global leadership development position. I wanted to see if all of those standards and protocols that I had recommended actually worked for myself. And that leads to the last 8 years of my life, where I have been quasi self-employed or in partnership over those 8 years, running my own companies and I've heard some things about your partner. Yeah, I know. So difficult to work with. He's like, John, whatever you say. Is he even listening to us right now? Whatever you say, he's just going to jump on. I'm just going to argue against it. That's what his whole mantra in the world is, like, whatever I bring to the table is like, that's wrong. Why is it wrong? Because you said it. Jim's
are we getting sound effects, or what are we getting here?
This is my debut on this show. Just me shaking my head at the camera.
No. We love you, Jim. Okay. Partnerships, in all seriousness, though, tend to have get a bad rap. You guys have worked through partnership, though. Right. But we're talking about failure here. So what are some failures that have happened? I think you should just jump in, Jim.
All right.
Because it really... It really is both of you. Are you ready? Do you have your hair ready for the podcast?
What hair?
Yeah.
Well, he has hair, not like yours, but he has hair.
John looks like he's kind of got the Art Garfunkel thing going on.
I was going Einstein. Yes. Can I look like Einstein?
Or the kid from So I Married an Axe Murderer. He'd pants new. You ever see that movie?
No.
It's a good movie.
I'm not a big movie or TV person. I watch, our default is Shark Tank. Surprise, surprise. But we'll have like a show we watch, and my husband and I, part of our night routine is we watch something together for about an hour at one, but that's literally the only amount of TV I watch, unless randomly, like if we'll go to the lake for the weekend and it's rainy the whole weekend and it's like our weekend away, because we try to do that quarterly, then I'll like binge watch something on Netflix, but that's like once or twice a year that will ever happen. I just don't watch a lot of TV. So partnership. Because this is an interesting. Don't you have a business on your own too? Mm-hmm.
I do.
So you've have a business by yourself. Tell us about the businesses.
So, how many businesses would you like to hear about?
Well, whichever ones you want to tell us about.
Right. So to be fair,
things that we don't want to share?
No, they're all legal. Yeah. No, I actually own only 2 companies, but each of those companies have multiple arms within them. So the company I own solo is a company that basically I run all of my solo operations through. So I do a lot of business consulting, small business consulting, working with them to grow and enhance it. So the money I make from that, I run through a business. It's just smarter that way. I own a cotton candy company. I know. So I actually have 2 robotic machines from Japan that when you order cotton candy, you can pick shapes and it literally will blow the cotton candy for you right there in front of you. It makes the whole thing. And then it hands you the shaped cotton candy with the colors that you choose real time. And
wait, how do I not know about this?
It's pretty great.
But seriously, how is it today that I'm finding out about the cotton candy business? Where do you do business?
I don't know.
That is not true.
Yeah.
I think I did know, but like I didn't recognize what it actually was. But where do you do business?
So I have 2 locations, one in Franklin and one in Columbia at like interior mall locations where I have these set up. And I have a 3rd location in Nolensville who reached out to me this week wanting me to add one to their interior mall area. So interior malls is kind of the best.
Is it like self-run? Do you need like an associate there or is it a machine?
Completely robotic.
Oh, cool.
Top to bottom, it looks like a little vending machine. Like the
I
ones.
was just going to say, is it like a vending machine?
Yeah, it's like a claw gripper machine kind of and look with a big open area and like a bunch of buttons on the side of it. But you choose your color and the shape and then you put your money in and it literally will make it for you right in front of you and hand it to you.
So cool.
Which is really great. I get a lot of great feedback from it.
How did you get into that?
I literally was in Orlando, Florida.
Jim's laughing.
Walking down the road or an aisle and I look over and I see all of this stuff they're selling. They got popcorn machines and Skittles machines.
We were at an amusement park trade show.
Yeah, we were at a trade show.
Okay.
And I'm walking and looking at all this different stuff and I just look at it. And I look at it again and my little spider senses go, well, that's something.
Huh.
And within like an hour, I had already decided to buy a couple machines. Like it took me that long to figure out that is a very marketable and a really cool experience that is very low maintenance. I have one technician who will clean them about once a week just to keep them pristine.
Yeah.
But that's it. I mean, a total of an hour a week and I can sit there and just make pocket money without any extra effort on my own after buying the machines, which is great. It's a great little side income.
Yeah.
And then, so I have those 2 things. And then my wife, she's done a lot of educational development. She's a educator at times. And so we run private money through that company as well. So that's the one company, kind of different arms. And then in the company that Jim and I share together, we own a lighting company. We own a software development company. We own a garage door maintenance company and install, and we own a podcast company. We're with awesome guests like yourself. And we also do like commercial white lighting as well. And so we're finding ourselves in a lot of spaces, and I'm going to pitch to him very soon some new.
I heard it starting before we started talking. I had to shut it down.
A good conversation starts off with, we got a lot of ideas to run by you, but I'm not going to tell you about them right now.
Yes, I did. I think he did say that, actually, those exact words.
But I try, at this point, knowing him 6 years, 7 years probably.
Yeah.
It's it never a matter. Like, it's just an inherent intrinsic trust at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're not going to do anything sideways or shock me or surprise me or anything like that. That's going to be detrimental. Everything that he's done, everything's been upfront, integrous, which is, it's tough to find these days.
Well, I think that's the part about a partner is,
and we've had failures in the past with certain partners.
Yeah. So because the nature of this series is centered around bringing light to times we failed, and I'll be honest, I think that it's hard for business owners to even get transparent on a podcast and talk about really big failures. You have to be really vulnerable.
Yeah.
And so I really want to challenge this room with both of you guys to say, we didn't know we were going to have 2 guests today on the show. What is a failure that was like oh, wow, I really messed that one up?
I don't think we've had anything really catastrophic.
Oh, just let me start.
Well, I'm like, we have to have.
I mean, in a previous life.
No, in a current life, we've had failures.
We've had failures, but nothing like that's like going to catastrophically cancel things.
Well, I feel like for me, not meeting an expectation, not fulfilling something I commit to, that is a failure in business. Yeah. Like I get to a point, so I have like, when I think about my staff that is customer facing, that is in the field, like with clients, I'm like, this is a 911. Do not mess it up. Like we need to be 100% serving. And that level of, when you have a bar that's that high, any failure feels like it can be catastrophic, right? Because you just want perfection. Yeah. And I think as business owners, that is hard to attain, of course, but. I
guess the defining the failure and the scope and magnitude of it is one thing. So for me, we were just talking about it this morning. A failure for me is getting like a late, hey, you're overdue on this project for voiceover. I take those to heart. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I hate being late, especially if I just missed the email, I overlooked it somehow. And that's for my voiceover stuff. But, whenever we would have, I always want the company to be represented in the best light possible. And whenever that falls short of that, I always consider that a massive failure. But even though in the long run, it's like, what am I freaking out about? And one thing I learned from John is there's no crisis. That's one of our core values. Is that, just don't freak out. You're not going to, it's not worth losing years off your life over. It's figure outable. Yeah. To quote our previous guest that was just on. And it's amazing how it's like when I first started my podcast, I had somebody say to me, look, it's always something. Mm-hmm. And as long as you just keep that in mind, everybody goes through that, and it's okay to talk about that. What drives me nuts is the friggin' influencers out there that have barely done anything in life, telling you that, you got to be doing, if you're not doing this and you're not crushing it overnight, you're failing and you're just a loser. If you don't have a 6-pack abs, you're a loser. That kind of stuff drives me nuts. So
that's a failure.
That's just my rant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how have we failed? Enlighten me.
Oh, let me count the ways.
Well, think about maybe a mistake that somebody else has also made that they might not want to talk about. They might not want to share.
I have a few object examples of our failures. And by our failures, my role in our partnership is I am the CEO of this company. There is no world in which I believe that our failures fall on anyone but myself. As the role that Jim has given me the freedom to have decision-making authority, I can guide and direct him in how he operates, even as my partner. If there is something that goes wrong, I look squarely in the mirror and say, hey, the buck stops here. This is how I believe it should be. Yeah. If I was an employee, I would say, hey, the buck stops there. Right. That's how we function. And so 2 specific examples of ways that you can fail that we have struggled through. I guess before you get there, you got to define failure. Mm-hmm. So when people think failure in business, they think bankruptcy. A lot of people think, the business is successful. We've got a great restaurant. People stop eating there. I Heart Spring Hill starts complaining about it. This is where we live. We have a local page that complains a lot.
Oh, really?
Suddenly the restaurant goes out of business. Therefore, it failed. But if it's open, it must be doing extremely well. And so there's only 2 measures in which people gauge businesses. Either they're great or they're failed. I don't think business failures from the role of internal can be categorized in those 2 positions, because even a business that goes through bankruptcy, AMC Theaters, they came out stronger than they were before they went bankrupt. They have a stronger brand. They have more market share than they had before. Well, they went through a bankruptcy procedure to get there. Bed Bath & Beyond, same story. Other businesses that have gone through bankruptcies to consolidate, reform, and restructure have come out running full speed ahead. Right. And so for us, bankruptcy
that's
can't be...
That's a whole nother podcast, though, that we can talk through.
The concept, though, is we can't call bankruptcy failure. Right. We can call it restructuring, reimagining, refocusing. Failure is when you choose a direction and you leave a lot of things at risk without seeing it coming. I'll give you an example. So 2 years ago...
That's how you define failure.
That's how I define failure. Therefore, I'll use an example to describe my definition of failure. 2 years ago, I had a massive national client come to us. They are publicly traded. They wanted a very specific product set made for them. Well, I was running a lot of sales in our company and other divisions with other customers, and I ended up going exterior to our company and hiring in an exterior sales force to manage all these other relationships so that I could focus all my attention on this publicly traded company with this huge project. I won the project. It was a very, very, very large project for our business. It was catapulted me into a different class of income and revenue for our business. We grew our workforce to 14 people on our staff. It was great. That to me feels like a win, but that was the biggest failure I've made in this business. Because what happened was I wasn't thinking about the fact that these other salespeople were ruining the relationships with my existing customer base because they weren't following up. Mm-hmm. They weren't communicating well. I was passing every email feedback I got right back to them, assuming they would be doing their job. And at the end of this project, at the end of 2023 into early 2024, so a year and a half ago now, I looked up from my tasks running this big national project. Money's done flowing. Project's completed. I had no customers. They had all abandoned my business. And what would be considered to most people the biggest success we have ever had. My failure was my inability to notice because I was so focused on the one that I missed the whole.
Okay, these are the stories that we need to tell, because these are the stories that I think it gets really to the heart of the listener, where we've all had these moments where you're in this case, it's a shiny object that I'm going to go after this, but I don't have systems in place and processes in place to make sure nothing else gets dropped.
Right. And I didn't have any measure of accountability with these teams. They were external to my company.
Yeah.
It wasn't we were having daily meetings. It was assuming they had 20 years in sales in my industry. They're going to know what they're doing.
Right.
And I look back, and for me, the unintended consequence wasn't even the loss of the customers. Big deal. But 2024 was a very difficult year for our business, in which I had to tell employees they couldn't get raises. Several employees that we let go of and did not backfill because we're struggling to even make ends meet. My financial status from the prior year was wrecked to nothing because I had gotten so focused on taking great care of a great client.
Well, it's one.
But it's one.
Yeah. So how did you learn from, obviously it was like, okay, I'm going to fall down on the ground. Maybe like I had this conversation with somebody on my team this morning that it's like, give yourself a minute to feel it, and then you just get back up and go. And that's the philosophy I always have. It's like, feel it for a minute, and then you just, how do I overcome and how do I not let that happen again? So what did you learn from that?
I would hazard to say I'm still learning a lot from it. I will never, I don't know when the learning stops.
If it ever does, we're in trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
If ever does it, we are in trouble. But I don't know when the learning stops in this specific scenario. I am still working to restructure my business in ways that if another publicly traded company or the same client comes back for another major project, what systems have I begun to put into place to be able to walk away and know that the customers we have redeveloped over the last year are going to be taken care of? Will I ever work with an outside consulting company again or not in terms of selling for us? I don't know. I have some major pain points. I had one come to me last week. They want to sell my product and be an exclusive distributor in a region. And I'm like, man, I'm way too burned.
Yeah.
That's not the right way to be, because I know you can get a lot of value from regional sales teams who are local and present with the customer and engaging them. My experience was the opposite. And so I would say I'm more gun shy now. So I think I have a lot I still have to learn.
Yeah. You got to stop and pause. But I will say this, just because you have a bad steak at one restaurant doesn't mean you don't eat steak again. It just means you don't eat steak there again.
Right.
So I get that a lot when I think about businesses and I had a bad experience, or this didn't go as I thought. It's like, yeah, there's going to be crappy, insert the business here, everywhere. So it's about vetting and slowing down to vet. And I love that you brought up like the accountability, follow up, standard operating procedures are a big thing. And in my wheelhouse right now, especially,
right.
Because as my business has evolved and grown and we've added more people, the apparent need for very clearly defined roles and SOPs becomes more evident, right? The more you grow. And I think that's one of the things that business owners sometimes fail to.
Well, I agree. And I think the piece of the puzzle, we're talking about failures. I've never had a hard time selling. I've always been
It's the curly hair.
It's the curly hair.
Yeah.
And the kind voice.
Absolutely.
Those things matter.
Yeah.
But I've never had a time closing deals. I can close a $200 deal or $1 million deal with the exact same effort on my end. It doesn't matter to me. I'm a great salesman, but because I'm such a good salesman, why would you ever create an SOP around something that you just do? Why would you ever stop and say, hey, maybe other people need to somehow take what I do naturally and figure out how to do it through an SOP? Now, I have SOPs like crazy around things that I'm not skilled at.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm not going to be the guy getting it done because I'm good at it. So we might as well set policies and procedures and accountability in place for those SOPs. But it's the ones that you're really talented at that will bite you in the butt long before the things you're bad at. So my failure is based in my talent. The belief that my talent is going to carry us forward.
Right.
because I've never had to think about it. The things that most businesses struggle with, which might be communication internally, it might be, procedurally in terms of how do we handle fulfillment. It might be developmentally in terms of R&D and determining new things. I've got SOPs for that. I feel like I've got a great business foundation, but without revenue from sales, doesn't matter how many awesome SOPs I've created. They mean nothing because I can't sustain my workforce to do the work of the SOPs. Right. And so there's a part of me that my failure was arrogance, ego, blindness.
I feel like it's almost a little bit of naivety too. Just not knowing, as a business owner, you don't know what you don't know. And when there are unintended consequences that we just aren't aware of because we don't see it before we get there.
And so when I talked about what is my version of failure in business, that's exactly what I was saying. It's as you're going after something, it's the side effects, the unintended consequences, as you said, that I consider the places where you're most vulnerable to fail. I'll give you another example. This is, look, I can tell you all the ways that I've failed.
We'll just cancel the rest for today. And
there
just
we
keep
go.
Going.
But here's the thing. So I had another situation come up. I had an office meeting, staff meeting in my office. We do it most mornings. We'll get people in there about 8 a.m. Just make sure everybody's got a plan, communicate things back to me. I want to make sure I'm open as a CEO to my staff. And this will be true if we're 3 employees or 100. I want to make sure that I am available, not to bypass their leadership, but to hear their thoughts and concerns. So a couple of people, we were kind of in a pre-meeting state with 6 or 8 people in the room. And a couple of people are talking about relationships and men and women and different things. And one of my male technicians made a comment I didn't understand. I still don't understand what words he used, but apparently it's vernacular that's new. And I didn't. So
many words.
I know.
What does that mean?
And one of my other employees, she's a little bit older than him. She's married. She reacted and kind of rejected his notion. She's like, that's not the case. And he's like, oh, no, it totally is the case. And I'm still like oblivious. So I'm just watching this unfold in front of me. And we get to the end of the meeting after we've talked everything out and she sits behind. And I'm like, hey, are you okay? She's like, I'm not at all okay. I can't work at a place where you let commentary like that happen. I'm like, commentary like what? She's like, just the way you let people talk and like openly be disrespectful. And I'm like, we talked about how we're going to go do a few lighting jobs today and we've got to do some email with this specific customer and I got to fulfill this order. What part of that was about relationship? She's like, before the meeting, I'm like, can you explain? She's like, and this technician said this. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. You don't?
No.
Is that offensive? Oh, that's extremely offensive. And you just let it go in your office. I'm like, listen, I don't even know how to keep up with all the terminology. And I'm really sorry. I will absolutely bring that technician in today and I'll express that is completely unacceptable. But at the same time, I really would request a little bit of patience with me because words are moving faster than my brain. Things are changing so quickly. There's all these new terms that I don't know how to keep up with. And I had no idea that was offensive.
Yeah.
If I were to interpret that term in my brain, it meant something completely different than how you interpreted it. She's like, I could see that. I'm like, good. So 1, you can always stay behind and talk to me. Don't want you to feel bad about that. 2, I will deal with this. But 3, exercise some patience before jumping to the conclusion that I'm somehow backing an offensive comment from a guy. Well, see, there's another unintended consequence that I had no idea I was walking into. But that whole situation led to kind of a breaking between me and this employee that took a long time to resolve. Because I had no idea what was going on, but I did not handle it the way she felt I should handle it. And there's a lot of places in business where I consider when it's staff impacting, it's a failure to me. If I have done something or missed something or made a decision or made a comment, taken offhanded, joking with somebody and they're offended by it, and they tell me 6 weeks later they're offended, I feel like I failed.
So yes, but classic response. Yes, but sound like my kids. Yeah, mom, but
you don't totally agree with everything you said.
But you don't have to call me mom.
You are spot on, but no, I mean, I feel like we're gonna screw up as a CEO. I mean, every single day with my team, it's like, hey, listen, if I make a mistake, just like I'm gonna make mistakes. Okay. That's part of the business. Just tell me. I'm coachable. Give me the feedback. Be open to it. And so I think you prevent the cultural shift to negativity when you have this transparent, vulnerable culture where you can say the hard things and you do, check in. I love to ask the question of like, what am I doing that's getting in your way? What have I done to prevent you from being successful? What would, if I could change something, what would it be?
Right.
And really push for those, those answers. But the failures are going to happen no matter what. It's always about how do we overcome from that and learn from it. So do you now look at the Urban Dictionary every morning?
No, but I do have a 15-year-old daughter, and I'm making sure she educates me on all the current terminology, as it were. So I'm doing my very best in those things.
I really suck at that. Like my son, especially, my daughter's 18, and she will tell me anything. She'll be like, "Mom, don't say that."
Right.
Or like, you don't know what that means. And I'm like, it means a flower. You're like, whatever, something from like.
Not anymore.
Right. No, it doesn't. Not anymore. Okay. I guess I won't say that. But my son is the one who will like push me to say things inappropriate and like thinks it's funny or says it in front of me, in front of his teammates or friends and like tries to get a reaction. I'm like, all right, bye. Not reacting to that. It's fun raising teenagers, isn't it?
Yes.
Those are, we could talk a lot about
Is it kind
failure.
of one of those scenarios like in Wayne's World? Remember the Wayne's World movie?
I just told you I don't watch movies or TV. If it's Shark Tank, unless it's Shark Tank.
This came out when we were young.
Even as a kid, I was never.
You've never seen Wayne's World?
I mean, it was on in the background. Okay. I've just never been I am too active to want to sit and watch something.
So their whole thing was to, sit across from somebody that was relatively uncool or older.
Okay.
And go like, idiot says what? And then the guy goes, what? Idiot says what? What? That kind of thing? Is that what?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
That what your kids doing?
Yeah, that's
not calling you an idiot, but
no, but that is pretty much exactly what is happening. You know what kills me? This is not about failure. This is where I feel like I have a lot more credibility, or I should have a lot more credibility. My son plays basketball and we go to tournaments. Like we'll be at a tournament, not this weekend, but like most weekends we're at a tournament when he, in spring season where it's like every weekend we play for Carlos English. You can find him on Instagram, Carlos English Elite. Carlos English was a Harlem Globetrotter and played for the NBA G League. He's awesome. We love Carlos, but I'll give Ben feedback. Hey, this should have happened in the game. Like, you guys know, why are our bigs not getting rebounds? Why is nobody getting rebounds? This is crazy. And I've watched a lot of basketball. He's 15 and a half and he's been playing ball for his whole childhood, 4 seasons every year. And he'll be like, Mom, you don't play basketball. You don't really know. Yes, I do. I feel like I have earned the right to have some credibility in this because I watch more from the outside than you do. I'm watching you play every game. Okay. So I just feel like as a mom, I probably earn a
But that's the job
there.
of our kids is to tell us that we're morons and idiots.
Yeah.
And they realize that we might actually know something probably around 25.
You know what else kills me? Failure. This may be a failure. You guys can tell me this on air if I'm failing or not. So my daughter has her spray tan business, Tans by IG. You can find her on Instagram. She's amazing. She really is excellent at what she does. And I'm not saying that because I'm her mom. I have really high standards. She does a very good job. She's extremely pays attention to detail, wants to do the right thing. But it is so hard because I just have to shut my mouth about, as a business owner, I want to be like, oh, what if we did this? Have you thought about this? What if you did this? And I have to be like, go do your business and you'll tell me if you want help. That's hard. Is that a failure? Because
I'm going to circle this one. Let me.
Ooh, take it.
Let me play.
Yeah, I've got thoughts too.
We're gonna play this in full circle.
Okay.
This is true as a business leader and as a parent.
Yeah.
Our jobs shift throughout the lifetime of our employees. If they do not, we will be ineffective completely in whatever role that is. So a new hire or young child. Your job is to train them well, to get in there, be involved in their business, make sure they understand the work characteristics, the ethics, the way we're supposed to operate within the company, the way we're supposed to look outside of the company. Think of families. Are your children obedient? Do they understand their chores? How do they work as a family dynamic? How do they look
I'm failing
outside of the family? And so in that scenario, you start as a parent.
Yeah.
You start as a hands-on directional, I'm mom, I am dad. As an owner of a business or as a parent, this is how you function.
Yeah.
There's a shift that happens, and it has to happen, where you begin to say, okay, you've learned all that I have to teach you.
No, it's not all I have to teach you. It's all that you want to know right now.
Okay.
And because I do think there's that filter.
I've had a chance.
Yeah.
I've had the time to train you well.
Yeah.
How well I've done, different matter. I've had the time it takes to train you well. But there's a time between 12 or 14 years old with my children, I would say with the business world in the first 2 years, where you shift them and say, okay, now you run your stuff. I'm going to be right here for you.
Yep.
I moved from parent to counselor. Hey, you've got any issues, you have any questions, you're struggling, come talk to me, bring me your issues, bring me the solutions. We're going to work through them, but I want you really doing your job. Right. I'm not doing it over your shoulders. We've transitioned from I'm over you on everything to I trust you to run your business.
Empowering.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm here if you need help.
Yeah.
And then there's the late teen years and the early 20s or as you move them into management where you just become a cheerleader. Your primary role for your children is I did my best to teach you. I was always available to you. I'm still available now, but just go get it.
Yeah.
Go get it. And so there's a shift
when you
that has
fall
to
down,
happen.
I'll pick you up.
So I have 24 years coaching teenagers in my
because you
belt.
were a gymnastics coach.
Gymnastics coach, working with kids all the way from 7 to 20 years old for 20 plus years.
So don't you think that at 18 and 15, mine are 18 and 15, and they never listen to my podcast. So I really can say probably anything I want and they'll never listen.
But the cool thing is that they'll always be able to listen.
It'll be
back
there
to
in the past.
Legacy play.
Yeah.
That's right.
Unless their friend listens and then they're like, Mom, why did you talk about me? I tell them I talk about me. I'm like, you have to listen to them to know what I say. But 15 and 18,
Yes.
I think at 18 where she's at with her business, she's doing great.
Yeah.
I got her set up. Like we got her set up with insurance, got her product, her space, got her books set. Like she's doing all the basic stuff, of course, to be like, here you are. Okay. You can take this under. She's putting a certain amount away. She's putting for taxes, all the things you're supposed to do. That to me, I feel like that's where I've set you up for success. And now, you can come to me, but I also have to be conscious of this is her thing and she's going to do it how she wants to do it. That doesn't mean it doesn't kill me to shut my mouth and not open it.
Here's the thing. Cheerleaders, if this is the stage we're moving into, they don't play the game.
Yeah.
They just cheer on the people playing the game and they watch the injuries, they watch the bad plays, they watch mistakes. They can be as externally critical as they want, but in the game, they're cheering for their team.
I think he just told me to be a cheerleader.
Here's why. Let me explain why. 25 years of coaching. Parents that don't shift well through their roles will end up driving their children away every single time.
That's true.
I've worked with thousands of kids going from 9 to 20 years old. And I watch the parents who continue to try to insert their opinion with kids that they just need to be cheerleaders at that stage or force their opinion on people who they just need a counselor. They need someone to go to. If they don't shift their role. And business owners, same story.
Yeah.
If you've got someone 5 years in the business and you're still directing them every day, that is your failure. At 5 years in, if they don't know how to do their job and you don't trust them to do their job, you need to find someone that you will trust or you need to back away because ultimately the more you insert yourself into how they do their business, the less likely they'll be to stick with you, the higher turnover rates are going to be, and the less likely they're going to ever produce the quality of content on their own that you want from them. You gotta let them run.
Failure. That is, I think, as a business owner, especially small to mid-sized business, that's probably the top failure we have is you stay too involved and can't remove yourself. And that is hard. It is a hard shift to make. I bet you if we have, let's just say we have 10 people listening to this podcast, hopefully we have more than 10 people, but let's just.
My wife will listen to this one. It'll be 11.
Okay. Perfect. I will probably force somebody to listen to it. Good. My dad will listen to it.
Good, 12.
So we got 12 people. Let's say that 10 are business owners.
Right.
Probably 6 or 7 of them still can't figure out how to step out because it is hard. And that's why businesses stay here. So the failure oftentimes is not getting out of your own way and thinking that you know more or better than other people. Opposite of what you said your failure was, the first failure you showed, because that was you saying, you guys got this, I'm going to take this. But what if in that situation you had flipped it and said, I'm going to hire a staff to take this big project on and I'm still going to remain the CEO up here? Right? Yeah. I don't know how that would have played out.
For me, the concept is I expose myself to vulnerability with a publicly traded company.
Yeah.
If I'm not the one driving the boat and the boat runs into a wreck, what do I do?
But that's our ego getting in the way and saying, I know better, right? It is so true. And as I've, evolved and had several businesses, and as I've changed and grown my businesses, I find myself having to fight that and say, no, you actually are not more capable. My operations manager looked at me yesterday and said, we need to hire more people. And I was like, She's like, no, you don't, Lyndsay, we need to hire more people. I'm like, okay, just put the plan together. Like, you don't, she does know better than I do.
Right.
She does. And I need to stop and stay out of the way and trust her to tell me and guide me to drive our operations of the company. Right. But it's something that we fight all the time. And so it's having that checks and balance. And I think you guys as partners have had a good thing where you can talk to each other. And I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I've been in the middle of it where we talk each other off the ledge on things or out of a bad idea.
Right. Absolutely.
Not that he ever has bad ideas.
I'm trying to think. I mean, not bad ideas, but, attempts at things that maybe just didn't work out.
Yeah.
I think we have a lot of good ideas. I think we're good at vetting our ideas, but a lot of them, we try and then, hey, we'll come back around.
Yeah.
Like we've got a product idea right now that I think is just gangbusters. We just have to adjust it. We did a little bit of a beta.
Wait, I have a really good product idea I want to tell you guys after this. Okay. I can't say it on the air because somebody will steal it.
Somebody will steal it.
I think it's a good idea, but I also think it could be a really not good idea. So I need some.
So to your point, especially when it comes to this concept of parenting and business leadership and how tied together they are, in every one of these scenarios, our employees who begin to know more than us. Mm-hmm. The question is, who is leading them at that point? I hope my young programmer, as he is beginning to learn way more than I know about anything dealing with technology and programming, goes and finds a mentor. Mm-hmm. And I support that. A lot of business owners get offended by that.
It's so stupid.
It is so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's our competitor. Why would you ever go talk to them? Because they know more than I know about the thing I'm trying to learn about.
Right.
I'm going to go spend time with them. For me, I'm all about my employees, even if that removes me from some level of ego in their life. Well, as a parent, the same thing. Look, if my daughter can hear from another gymnastics coach, she qualified for nationals a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
go
congrats.
her.
That's awesome.
We're going to Rhode Island in June for that. If she can learn more from another coach, even though I'm 25 years in, I'm just going to be dad.
Okay, that's a point that I feel like, especially as a parent, that can be a really sticky situation. And I have not the same example, but a similar. So my daughter has been dating the same guy for a year and a half. We love him. We love his family. His family is just, we could not have handpicked a better set of humans for her to be around. I mean, truly. And they have 3 boys, and his mom is like a saint. I mean, she's just an incredible human, and she loves my daughter, and my daughter loves her. And I think in some situations, moms can be like, well, you want to go spend time with her. And I don't have that at all. I am truly like, I am so glad that somebody else sees how amazing my child is, because I think so too. But also go learn from that person too, because you're going to be better learning from her, because she's good at things I'm not good at. Right. And we have to have that. I don't believe in the whole scarcity mindset, competitive. Like, I don't think that I love to work with people that do the same thing I do, and you support each other. I don't get that other space. I don't understand it.
Literally, and this is a business thing, I believe integrity is more important than winning.
Yeah.
100% of the time in business. And if my integrity somehow takes me a step back in my business, it is more important to me, because the thing you can't buy with money is integrity.
Yeah.
You can hire more employees. You can change your systems, buy new processes. You can't repurchase what you've sold about yourself for money. So I'm going to lie to get something from somebody. Well, what did I make? I might have made $20 from them, and I just sold part of my integrity.
But also, how do you just, there's so many things wrong with that. So
point being, I actually today, real-time story, today, and I was talking about this before our podcast, one of my biggest competitors in my industry, and one of my numerous industries, we were learning from one of their manuals. We were actually reading one of their product manuals. It was giving them some step-by-step. So my technician, my young technician, got in their system, was playing around, trying to understand what they were communicating, because it was kind of hard to understand. And so he got in there and he started pushing some buttons and found out that they have no security over their system.
Oh my gosh.
From a security for the internet, security for the websites.
They need to talk to my last guest.
Right. Within a few minutes, within an hour, my employee, only going through the front door, took over 16 of their clients' locations and had access to take over 60 more through open front end security issues. He wasn't even trying. He just was, oh, what can I do now? Oh, what can I do now? Playing around as a 19-year-old does. What could I have done? Well, business would say to leave it alone, don't talk about it, because they'll figure it out eventually. And hey, you know what? If they lose a few customers.
Oh, I think I would have called them immediately.
I called their CEO within minutes.
Yeah.
Because for me, integrity is more important than winning. I called their CEO within minutes because ultimately, even if they do ruin relationships with 20 customers because somebody else with a malicious intent gets in their system and destroys it, I could really have a huge successful year as a company. All these people who got offended by this person not even able to fulfill security. I'm like, I've got the most secure system in the world. Come see me. You won't worry about anybody's taking your stuff. It doesn't matter as much as it does doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, I truly believe that there is no revenue worth sacrificing what I believe to be integrous.
Amen.
And so when it comes to our children, we have to treat them and our employees with the same measure of trust. Hey, until you've lost my trust, I'm going to give you trust. Well, no, they have to earn it. Sure. But at some level, somebody's got to give first.
Yeah, totally. With kids, especially, I feel like with teenagers, we parent very differently than most people do. I think we have a very open lines of communication relationship with the kids and really encourage them to be their own person. And even if it's something that I don't necessarily agree with the way they did it or what they chose, they're 15 and 18. They are making their own life decisions, and we can guide them as you share. But when you try to put your thoughts, ideas, the values, hopefully you've raised them enough to have the same core values, which I feel good about that. But you got to just back off and let them be them.
I have and this is an adult story.
Oh, okay. Not a kid story.
It's a kid story. Oh, okay. It's fine. I had young children.
This is a G-rated podcast.
This is a G-rated podcast. This is a PG conversation.
Okay, it's PG. PG is fine.
Not even PG-13. I had a good friend who had raised some really good kids. They were in their teens, and I had like a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And I was like, how did you get your kids where they're at? And so we talked a lot. He gave me a lot of really great insight because, you want to look to the people who aren't where you're at in life, but who are 3 steps and you like what you see for counsel. Yeah. That's true with businesses as well. Hey, you want a business consultant? Don't pick the guy who is like quit a company and become a business consultant because somehow he thinks he knows better. Yeah. Pick the guy who's actually walked through failures and successes, who've farther down the road and you like what you see. That's who you choose for your consultant. Yeah. Same way with parenting consulting. So I'm talking to him and I'm like, okay, so what do you do? Like you got 2 teenage boys. Talk to me about internet filters. He's like, we don't use any. I'm like, you don't use any internet filters? I was like, no. I'm like, why not? He said, here's the thing. If you wait until a kid has access to the real world, the first time is when they're out of the house at college. There's no one for them to come home to and make a good decision with. He's like, I want my 13 and 14-year-old sons to go expose themselves to things that I don't agree with so that they're at home. They can get caught. We can have conversations around it. There can be accountability. They can learn to actually grow muscles. He's like, if the first time you're sailing a boat, you've had no training, you're going to die.
I could not love this topic more. Like we could literally talk about this for another hour. If I had $1 for every time I heard a story about so-and-so who's not allowed to have this app, who not only has the app, hides the app, and then here's the other rabbit hole that kids go down. Well, I'm already keeping this secret from mom and dad. So what's this other thing I'm not telling them? I'm already doing it.
Right.
Right? Like, and let me tell you, my kids are the ones who will say, guess what? And tell us the stories about what's happening. And that's a whole nother.
This is natural too, because your immune system only develops through exposure.
Yeah.
If you have no exposure until you're 18 years old to all the diseases in the world, the minute you go to college, you will be sick as a dog. Well, that's true in every area of life.
If you control everything.
Yes.
The second they try, we had a conversation.
It's PG rated, Lyndsay.
This is fine. It's
PG
totally
rated.
PG. It's just, I just can't believe that this conversation happened. We had this conversation. We're at dinner with some parents of a team, and this one mom says that this is a teenage 15-year-old kid. Okay. Right. I take my son's phone every night at 8:30. He goes to bed. This is an 8th grader. And I'm like, no, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
There is no way your 15-year-old is asleep at 8:30. Like, do you really think that that's what's actually happening? You're out of your mind if you think that they're not, you think they don't have another device, or they go down and get the device when you're asleep, or, whatever. The thought that you have to put these controls, and yes, they need rules and regulations, controls
and accountability.
Yes, for sure. We put a camera in our basement on, it's only interior camera we have, facing the bar in the basement. Not because my kids have any interest in drinking. They do not at all. Like, we went to Cabo. Isabel's 18. She could have drinks. She had no interest. She's like, no. Virgin daiquiri place. Doesn't care. Why doesn't she want to? I don't know. She could have that conversation, but I will say we don't make it a big thing. So it's really not that cool. But we put a camera facing the bar. Why? So that when my kids have friends over, they can say, listen, my parents have a camera on everything. I don't have to, you got to make that decision. But when you try to prevent them from getting hurt or being in tough situations, I'm not talking safety issues. You get what I'm saying. And if you think I mean like let them run down the street, making dumb choices, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about giving them the freedom to make mistakes, to fail, giving them the freedom to fail, to make choices and learn how to control themselves. Our kids we've never said, we're taking your phone away and you need to go to bed. But guess what? They go to bed and they get up for school, because if they don't get up for school and they don't go to bed, they're tired, they're not going to function, and they have no one to blame but themselves. You have to teach them how to be effective adults.
Yes.
Not manage everything they do.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
My wife and I have said this comment to 100 young families who have come to us and said, how did you raise your children? I say, you can either raise great children or you can raise great adults.
Amen.
You have a choice to make.
Yes.
You have a choice to make. Do you raise great kids? Awesome. Keep them kids, protect their childhood. Don't give them accountability, responsibility, or let them deal with the consequence of their actions. You just make them have great kids. When they become adults, they'll still be children.
Yeah.
Or you start at 8, 9, 10 years old, accountability, expectations, guidelines, consequences for their decisions. Hey, the reason you're in trouble isn't my fault.
Yeah.
You chose
this. Yeah.
Now this is the outcome of what you've chosen. You start at 8, 9 years old to raise a great adult. And here I am. I'm the one people are asking for how to raise their children. Because for me, it comes down to this decision of what are we doing? To the point, employees, we're still business, right? Still business podcasts.
No, it's not. We talk about anything.
It's about failed businesses. You started it. Yeah. This is about failed businesses.
But it's my show. I can talk about whatever I want, John.
Should I talk about my failures as a parent? No. Anyways.
That's the next episode.
That's the next episode. The bigger picture here, if we talk about it from business perspective, is you're either training great managers or great entry-level employees. You have to choose now. Am I trying to develop a staff of leaders or a staff of followers?
Yeah.
Now, if you want to be big ego on the hill, you want a staff of followers with nobody questioning your leadership. Your business will never be more successul than you are. It can never grow beyond you.
100%.
You own a job with people. You don't own a business. With
business, it's the same thing with kids. That doesn't mean you don't inspect what you expect, right?
Absolutely.
So like, while I say they have access to things, we have all the passwords, all the logins, all the access to all the things. So there's still the accountability there, right?
My children, if they want to download an app on their phone, it's connected to my account. I don't see what they're doing in the app, but I can absolutely see what apps they've downloaded, because the minute they download it to their phone, mine is scheduled to automatically download the same app. So I already know the stuff they're getting into. And more importantly, if I ever walk in a room and they hide their phone or their iPad, I just show it to me.
Let me see.
What are you hiding from me? Nothing. Okay, let's talk this out. What are you hiding from me? And they'll show me, because they know what they're going to get is a talking to.
Yeah.
We're going to have a conversation
to educate
around why what you're doing is dangerous for you and unhealthy, and how this is going to hurt you in the long run. Now, do you want to keep doing this? No. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm not telling you can't, but just be wise.
Yeah. Think about the consequences.
Right.
And same thing in business. You're right. It's like we have to help them. I think give people permission to fail. You're going to make mistakes.
There's no crisis.
You're going to, there's no crisis. We'll figure it out. Although when you are the CEO, it does a little bit always feel like everything's the crisis.
Shh, don't tell anybody.
I know. I think we just told everybody.
No one else can act in crisis mode. That's my job.
I know. Yeah, true. Is it your job or Jim's job?
Both.
Well, yeah.
I'm the CEO. It's my job to handle the crisis.
What is your role?
Oh, here and there.
What's your title? If he's the CEO.
Kind of like CMO.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Marketing guy.
Jim's our marketing executive. He
Pinch hitter.
He runs all that.
Utility player.
He's absolutely extremely beneficial to have as a partner because he doesn't have ego tied to his partnership.
Yeah.
So him being chief marketing officer and him stepping in and helping, like, Jim, I need an extra pair of screwdrivers on this project. Let me belt up. I'm going to go put screwdrivers on the project. I love that in a partner because ultimately it's never a competition between us. It is just a good relationship
Let's
that
just
we
build.
We are building a company together.
Yeah.
You know, for us to justify our roles, he knows that if something crisis is going to happen, he's not going to get a chance to take it off my hands.
Yeah.
He knows that I'm going to step in full bore and I'm going to go after that thing because I am the guy that goes solves the problem. That's what I do.
You are the crisis manager.
I am. And I operate like there's no crisis. I never get angry. I don't yell at my employees. I occasionally have yelled at a couple customers, but that's just because they're mistreating my employees. But that's because they need to hear what they need to hear. And that's my choice. Never the employee's job to go yell at a customer. Only the CEO can do that.
I don't think I've ever had to yell at an employee. Or at a
Customer.
I'm thinking about it. There's definitely been customers I wanted to yell at. But my rule of emotions being at bay by giving myself 24 hours has pretty much prevented any.
Is that why you never
that.
respond to me for the first 24 hours?
It's
Wow.
I don't.
Let me get the license
Call
plate
it
of
out.
that bus.
I'm a pretty terrible communicator. I probably have, I don't know how many text messages sitting on my phone unread right now. A lot.
Wow.
If you actually want to get a hold of me, I say email me because my assistant runs my email. So
There
it
you go.
actually will go somewhere.
No, I'm only joking about that. But to be fair, I have yelled at customers, but only when they're truly mistreating my employees. If they are being predatory towards my employees, I don't tolerate that. And
I still don't think you yell.
I don't yell.
I can't see you actually yelling. I think it's more just like you're just advocating.
I'm unapologetically direct with them.
Yeah, well, that's different. I've been direct too. I mean, you have to be sometimes.
Right. No, I've never yelled at my wife or my children. Like that's not in my temperament at all. I'm not an angry person.
You're not a yeller. That's why I was like, I can't see you doing that.
But for me, the version of yelling that my kids call yelling is when I get so blunt and stern and direct that there's no room for conversation. Yeah. They call that yelling. So I guess I have inherited a casual yell.
I guess to go old school, it'd be known as being cross.
I get cross.
That's a word you don't hear very often.
Yes.
No, I get cross.
That's a kindergarten read type. When you started learning to read, you learned about people being
I think
cross.
it's just firm.
Firm, yeah.
Yeah.
And direct.
And I do get that.
Here's the thing about kids. I'll chime in with that. If you feel like you're failing, you're probably doing it right. That's what I've always said.
Yeah, I think there's like some kind of meme or quote or whatever that goes around that I have seen that's like, if you are worried if you're doing a good job as a parent, you're probably doing a good job because you actually care.
Because a lot of our kids, we know they mirror your personalities when you were younger, and our kids are a mixture of us both.
Yeah.
And like my daughter comes home, she's got the ambition for the summer to get a job and stuff like that. So I asked her yesterday, well, how much are you going to work? Are you going to go full time? I don't know. I don't want to go full time. I said, what I mean is as many hours as you can work while you're home. I'll do as many hours as I can. I said, well, what are you going to do on the time? What is the goal?
Yeah.
Well, to have money for college. But I really want to take the van back to college. I said, well, why don't you just start saving for your own car? Oh, I don't know what that looks like. I said, okay, let's form the goal and let's figure out how to reverse engineer our way to that goal, however it may look, however much it may look. I like hearing your story about your daughter. Whenever I talk to my oldest about go on Canva, learn how to make podcast thumbnails, learn how to make clips and stuff like that for other podcasts, I can help you with this, but you have to show me the initiative. You can maximize your income for your time by doing this, and I can help you. But it's a lecture if I do that.
Yeah, same.
You know what I mean?
I just can't. I just don't.
You can lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink.
I will say with Isabel, she had asked about opening a spray tan business. I have the hiccups. I get the hiccups like at least once a day, almost every day.
Oof.
There's got to be like a reason for that, right?
Yeah.
Randomly. I'm not eating or drinking anything.
It's your uvula.
I don't even know what that word is. Is that an okay word to say?
Is it really though?
No, it's not.
Oh, that's
like my very favorite like anatomical term.
Is that an okay word to say?
Uvula is the donger in the back of your throat.
Does it have another meaning?
No.
In today's world, you never know.
That's what I mean.
You never know.
It's not like your weenus. You know what your weenus is?
This is a PG podcast.
You can't say it. You got to cut that out now.
No, it's a weenus. It's the tip of your elbow.
But it doesn't sound good.
That's not a medical term.
It's called
I
the
just
weenus.
realized I can pull this down more.
Yeah.
This whole day. I don't even know what we were saying. Oh, Isabel, I'll give her this credit. I went to her with the idea. My spray tan girl was going to sell her business. And I was like, hey, maybe this is like the thing for you. She's almost 18. She's going to go to Aveda and do hair afterwards. And she had no interest. And I was like, okay, well, I'm certainly not pushing that on you. And then she worked for other people, had a good experience working for good people, but also recognized the workload, the hours commitment, and the lack of compensation for it. And then it doesn't help that she can't drive right now because, she's got vasovagal, so she can't drive until she'd spend 6 months without fainting. So she's kind of like stuck at home and she's got to ask for rides, which is so annoying for her to ask. I don't mind doing it, but for her at 18, it's like, come on, I don't want to ask my mom to drive me somewhere. So I hate that she has to do that. So she one day was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it myself. I'm like, well, then you need to talk to Nikki, my friend who had the salon, and you need to ask her what you need to get. And you figure it all out. I will help you with the initial startup funds to get it started, but you got to do all the work. I'm not doing any of that. You need business insurance. You need to get your books set up. You need these are the steps you need to take. Mm-hmm. You do that and I'll help you. And she did. She did all of it. And she has done such a great job with it. So I'm just a little bit proud of how she's done that, but she's done it her way. And I love that because she'll do like her Canva documents and put it on Instagram or whatever. And it's not what I would have done, but it's hers. And it's better because it's what she wants. It's her stuff.
Right.
And the honest truth, she's probably set up more for success in business than 90% of the small business owners I talk to who don't have a clean set of books, who don't understand what insurances they do and don't have.
Yeah.
And you're like, you don't have a clean set of books. How can I analyze your growth or success when your books aren't even managed?
And you don't have SOPs in place. Right.
There's nothing. It's
and so we keep bad people because there's no SOP because that person knows the secrets and we don't know how to tell them to change how to train somebody else.
And the worst thing is, I could never hire anybody to do what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing is destroying your business. You don't want to hire anybody that's doing what they're doing. But how are we going to move forward? I'm like, really easily, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Just give it a try.
We're
See
gonna
what happens.
we're going to have to change it. Yeah.
So many of my small business conversations fall to that specific mode of, guys, just look at what you're producing with the people you've got. Do you want to stay here or do you want to be better?
Yeah.
Let's be better. Parents, you know what? If you've got time to shift directions, try to raise great adults. If you don't have time, then understand that if you raise children, you're going to have to work in their 20s about them growing out of their childhood. And that's without you.
Yeah.
If they've alienated you because you have raised children and protected their childhood, that's okay. They'll grow up. But now they're having to grow out outside of you, not with you. And that's going to be a season. It might be 5 or 10 years before you guys can reform a healthy adult relationship because they figured out adulthood.
Yeah.
That's okay. Just breathe and be patient and watch.
Yeah,
but don't continue to alienate because the more you push, the longer it's going to take for them to ever feel like they could come to you as an adult.
Yeah, it's true. And you don't want to put them in that position. It's so important to give that freedom for growth for your team and for kids and, and for yourself too, to be able to push yourself to grow and learn and make mistakes. I love sometimes in business, it's throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. Sometimes you just got to do that and be okay to say, you know what, that was kind of a waste of resources, actually. Let's not do that one again. We learned from that. It's about how do you learn from your failure and say that will never be touched again. We will never make that mistake, but identifying what was the root cause of that mistake. It's not just the outcome, but what caused that outcome.
Right.
And
my biggest success in this company was also my biggest mistake at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Landed a multi-million-dollar national contract and lost my entire customer base in the exact same stroke.
We would call that a medium at our house. So we do highs and lows at night for dinner. and my daughter Isabel decided we needed to have a medium. So we do highs and lows, and sometimes you have a medium because it's a high, but it's also the low.
Yeah.
It's a medium.
It's a medium. I like
That's what she calls it.
I need to put that in my little...
Highs and lows are my favorite conversation starter for dinner. Because when you say, I always have to do my low first. Most people do highs and then their low. And I start with my low and end on my high. but it evolves into this happened and this is what happened in the day and this is what caused it. And it's like the best conversation starter for family. I think I learned so much about everybody's day when it's what was your high and what was your low. And sometimes there's 3 highs or 3 lows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's a good concept. I like it.
Do you guys do that?
Never heard of it.
I mean,
Oh, really?
we barely eat dinner together anymore.
Oh, it's like, seriously?
Yeah.
I think it's gotten harder with Isabel getting older at 18 and Ben's basketball schedule, but we have dinner Monday nights with all 4 of us and my parents. Tuesday is the same. It's all 4 of us and my parents. Wednesday is date night. And Thursday, we usually do family dinner. Isabel had some spray tins last night, so she couldn't dine with us. But, you know, it's part of that letting her grow, and that's her choice. She's got her business, and that's what she wanted to do. So she can make those decisions. But we have dinner together most nights, I would say. The weekends are a little bit up in the air with travel, but typically I'd say it's like 4 or 5 nights a week. We're pretty much 5 nights a week, I'd say we're pretty much having dinner together. How about you guys?
Yeah, so we do have dinner together, but that's not our family time.
Yeah.
It's usually just chill out, chat, eat quickly.
Yeah.
We have this mode from about 9:30 to 10:30 at night where I lay in bed and all my children come lay in bed with me. And my wife will come and sit down.
So late.
I know, but our kids are homeschooled. They go to bed.
Yeah, but for you, what time do you get up?
6.
What time do you go to bed?
I'm usually asleep by midnight. So, but that's our time. And that has been our family time for years. They come and they lay on me.
That's cool.
My 15-year-old daughter comes and cuddles up with me and we just talk about everything.
Oh, I love
that is
that.
our thing. It's if I'm in town, it's almost every single night. Last night, almost an hour of them sitting in bed, goofing off. They've started wrestling recently in bed and I'm trying to like
stop
calm that down. But
yeah.
my 13-year-old son is just getting a little bit feisty. And so we do some wrestling, you know, because why not?
Yeah.
But really it's just a chance for us to all just be together and spend time together. So for us, our true family time where I will try high and lows. I think
Yeah,
it's a
do
great
the highs
idea.
and lows.
I do. I love that. But for us, it is that pre-bedtime.
Yeah.
Everybody's just kind of winding down from their day, unpacking. Dinner is usually a lot more just chaotic. It's short, it's quick. We have like, go get your own food on the stove, go sit down, eat. By the time I'm done eating, my next kid's done with their homework or something, they come in and they'll.
So you just eat while you're doing stuff. Okay, it's totally different.
Stuff.
We have like, dinner is like, I'm not a good cook, but I do prepare dinner. But it's like a whole, like everything comes to the table. We pass it around, say the prayer.
That was my childhood.
Yeah,
was definitely
me too.
that way. But we found more value and more consistency because I'm coming home late or my kids at gymnastics. Again, 2 gymnasts. Yeah. They don't get home till 8:30 or 9 o'clock a lot of nights.
Those sports kill it. And you have to think as a parent, sometimes it's like, how many sports and activities do you want your kids in? Because it does detract from the family time. We got basketball tonight at BA, 7 o'clock till 8:30.
Yeah.
You know, we won't be home until probably, it won't get out at 8:30. And these boys are dreading practice tonight. They lost their last game of the tournament. And I think they've had it hanging over their head all week that they're going to run all practice tonight. So we'll see how that is. But that does change things at night when you've got.
So for us, we always were home by 8:30.
Yeah.
No matter what sport. I was coaching for 20-something years. No matter what we were doing, that was always our time as a family that we could guarantee that we were together. And we still do it. So.
I love it. And it doesn't matter what you do. It's just getting that time that like you have that time together.
My mom taught me a phrase. She said, you need context and permission. For anybody to create true community, there has to be a place for community and the permission to be a community.
Yeah.
And so for us, you know, a bar has context and permission.
Yeah.
You know, for my family, it's our bed at night. You know, for some families, it's dinner. For other people, it's we're going to go to the lake. And that is our context and permission to have a great community.
Yeah.
But everyone needs both parts. You can't just say, hey, we're going to the bar. We're going to go to the bar and hang out together. That's context and permission. You know, churches are the same way. If you like, everyone should be best friends, but we have no context for them to actually get together because the church isn't doing any large events where people can go spend time together, then you don't really have a context. Y'all should be a great community, but when?
Yeah.
And so my mom's thing is always context and permission. So for us, the context and permission is late at night in bed. We're all just going to lay around and just pick at each other, joke with each other, tell our stories, have conversations, scold the children for whatever crazy thing they did that day, whatever it is. But they come and they'll lay with me for an hour and I eat it up.
I love it.
Not many 15-year-old daughters will lay with their dad.
No, definitely not.
So
no, I get pushed away when I try to hug my 15-year-old.
That's my 9-year-old.
I get the half hug. I'm like, okay, I literally like, you were
PG.
I gave birth to you. Like, you can hug me, okay? You can hug me. Come on now. I have to like force it a little bit.
That's my 9-year-old. That girl.
9?
Yeah, I go up to hug her and she punches me in the stomach every single time.
I can totally see that.
I swear.
And
We'll win her over.
You love that.
funny.
We'll win her over eventually.
Some point. Yeah. And everyone's different. And I think that's so relatable to business too, that you've got to have that time to come together and connect. And I know for me with my team, I want everyone to feel like they have a safe place to be themselves. We all know that your priorities are your business and your job is one thing, but life, family, health, that's what matters. If you can do work you love also, wow, what a gift you have.
Right.
And that's what I like to be the who for people. They can be my who, but I can be a who for them too.
Yeah.
One of the things we love to do in our company is have stay-at-home moms that only want to work a little bit do one small role for us. It's tremendous. It provides, we are a who for them and they're a who for us. And it's a seamless work environment, and they can do one small thing really, really well, contribute at a high level, and feel really good about the work they're doing and not lose sight of the things that matter most. We love that. But it's all about making sure that you provide that opportunity for everyone to thrive in.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Totally agree.
And that's how you don't fail. But we've talked a lot about failure today and a lot about parenting.
Yes.
I actually love talking about parenting though here. I think it's important.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
We should do
business.
that.
I think it's so hand in hand. And then there's the whole, how do you make sure you're doing both, right?
Yeah.
Well, we could probably talk forever on this subject, but we have a lot of failures we discussed today and a lot that we overcome. It's good. I'm going to have you back here. Maybe we'll talk about failures again.
Maybe failures of the heart. Ooh. That's right. Ooh.
I don't think that fits here.
He had a massive heart attack.
Oh, okay. Well, that is
That'll
different.
be a good.
We're
for
not
next
going to
time.
talk about that. We're not going to end on that note, y'all. So thanks for being
Tune
here,
in
John
next time.
and
Same
Jim.
bat channel, same bat place where I talk about my heart attack.
Yeah, we're not
That's
going
right.
to do that. Actually,
Never.
Okay.
maybe.
Never ever.
It's a good story. It's a
I don't
great
know.
story.
It's a great redemption
It's a
story.
great story.
Yeah.
You've told me it.
Okay. It's a good story.
It was a while ago though, so I have to remember it.
It's okay.
I somehow remember my grandmother's phone number, but I don't remember the story. And my grandmother's phone number that is not her phone number now, by the way.
I'm one of
remember
the
your own?
732 unread text messages on her phone as well.
Yes,
so.
that's probably true.
You remember your own phone number growing up?
Well, I moved a lot.
Okay.
So
I remember mine.
I probably remember
I remember one of mine.
one. Yeah.
I remember one of mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the one I actually had when I separated from my parents. I guess I remember my parents.
Yeah.
I don't remember mine.
I'm trying to remember them. I think I remember one, but we moved a lot. So not,
203-797-8590.
I'm calling it right now.
Yep.
I wonder how many people are going to call that after listening to this.
Mine's 867-5309. You should give it a call.
Totally. Absolutely. Maybe Jenny will
All right,
answer.
we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for listening to the Lyndsay Stafford Show. Hey, if you liked what you heard, give us a 5-star review. If you didn't, you can send me a message and tell me all your complaints, and I'll pass them right on to Jim, and he can address all of them. Like us, share us, tag somebody in this, and send it to someone who might appreciate it. But appreciate you listening and tuning in.